Hello students, welcome to 14th lecture of the mechanical properties of the fluid chapter. Now students, till now we have discussed many terms related to this topic, and out of that in the previous lecture, in the previous video, we have discussed about the viscosity, velocity gradient and the coefficient of viscosity. Now in short we will revise that one. So the viscosity is the property by virtue of which the relative motion between the different layers of the fluid experiences the dragging force, and we have learned with the help of diagram also. Then after that we have seen the velocity gradient. So the velocity gradient is defined as the rate of change of velocity dv with the distance dx measured from stationary layer. So this is the second definition we have seen of the velocity gradient, and we have seen the expression for it also. And the last one we have seen the coefficient of viscosity, which can be defined as the viscous force per unit area per unit velocity gradient, which is expressed in the SI unit Newton second per meter square. So these are the few terms that we have learned in the previous video. So if you have any doubt or if you want to learn it again, then you can visit my previous video, that is the lesson, that is the lecture number 13. Then you will get it once again. So now in this video we will proceed the next part of this chapter. So students, this is the diagram of the Stokes law which we are going to learn now. Now in the year of 1845, the Sir George Gabriel Stokes stated the law which gives us the viscous force acting on the spherical object. So we are going to use the spherical object for the statement or for the demonstration of this Stokes law. Now in the diagram you can see that the spherical object which has been instructed the way of flowing fluid, means moving through a viscous medium. Now what is the viscous medium? We have discussed in the previous lecture that when the flow is of the syrup or like a honey, that is nothing but the viscous flow. Now in that we are going to introduce the spherical object. Then how the liquid will behave, we will see now with the help of the Stokes law. Now the Stokes law states that the viscous force Fv acting on a small sphere falling through a viscous medium is directly proportional to the radius of the sphere r, its velocity v through the fluid, and the coefficient of viscosity mu of the fluid. So this is the law of Stokes or the Stokes law. So empirically obtained constant of proportionality 6 pi, means 6 pi we are going to introduce in this equation as a constant of proportionality. The Fv means the viscous force is equal to 6 pi mu rv. So this is the expression for viscous force acting on the spherical object moving through a viscous medium, and this formula can be derived by using the dimensional analysis. So how to derive that one? So this was all about the Stokes law. That is the final equation is Fv is equal to 6 pi mu rv. So this is the expression of the Stokes law. So the next one part we are going to learn is the terminal velocity. So what is the exact concept of the terminal velocity we will learn now. Now for that, consider a sphere object falling through a viscous fluid, as you can see in the diagram. Now the force experienced by it during the downward motion of that spherical object will, the first one, the viscous force Fv directed upward, means this viscous force will be experienced that spherical object in upward direction with increasing with the velocity. As the velocity will increase, the viscous force will be also goes on increasing. And the second one is nothing but the gravitation force or its a weight Fg directed downward. So the gravitation force will be directed downward. The second one is the buoyant force, that is the upthrust directed upward. So for this consideration, now for this, consider a sphere object falling under the gravity through a viscous medium. You can see in the diagram. Now let the radius of that sphere be r, it's a mass m, and the density rho. Let the density of that medium is sigma, and its coefficient of viscosity is the mu. When the sphere attains the terminal velocity, the total downward force acting on that sphere is balanced by the total upward force acting on that sphere. Now the total downward force is equal to total upward force. Now this is the weight of sphere mg will be given by the viscous force plus by out and to do medium. Now this will be further given as the weight of mg can be written as as it is the sphere and there will be the density, so it may be given as 4 by 3 pi r cube rho into g is equal to the viscous force, as we have derived from the Stokes law. This it will be 6 pi mu rv plus, that is the by out and to do the medium. Now it will be 4 by 3 pi r cube sigma into g. So we can rearrange this entire equation. So it will be 6 pi mu rv is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube rho into g minus 4 by 3 pi r cube sigma into g. So the term 4 by 3 pi r cube g we can take in common. So next term or the next step will be 6 pi mu rv is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube into g into bracket rho minus sigma. So now we can calculate the value of v. We can rearrange the equation, then we will get the v is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube into g into bracket rho minus sigma into 1 by 6 pi mu r. So further this may be written as, you can make the calculation. So v is equal to 2 by 9 into r square g into bracket rho minus sigma upon mu. Thus we can say that, so this equation further given as, this is the expression for the terminal velocity of the sphere. Now from this equation, by arranging that one, we can write in a way that the mu is equal to 2r square upon 9 or 2 by 9 into r square into bracket rho minus sigma into g by v. So this above equation gives the coefficient of viscosity of the fluid. So by using this equation we can calculate the equation that the coefficient of the viscosity of that fluid. So this is the term terminal velocity and it's a expression for the terminal velocity. So the next part of this chapter we will see, student, now. So students, next part is the equation of continuity. So in this equation of continuity, the diagram you can see here, consider a steady flow of an incompressible fluid. You can see in the diagram, for a steady flow the velocity of a particle remains constant at a given point, but it can vary from point to point. Now for example, consider a section A1 and A2. You can see in the diagram, student, the section A1 and A2, and section A1 has the larger cross section area than the section A2. As you can see, where is the section A1 and section A2? So the section A1 has larger cross section area than that of the A2. Let the velocity V1 and V2 be the velocities of the fluid at the section A1 and A2. So V1 and V2 are the respective velocities of the area A1 and A2. Now this is because of the particle has moved faster and at the narrow section. Now to accommodate the particle behind its hence velocity increases. So when a particle enters a wider section, it slows down. So as we know that as there will be the largest cross section area, the velocity will be decreased, and the smaller cross section area, the velocity will be maximum. Thus because of the fluid incompressible, the particles move faster through the narrow section and the slower while the moving through the wider section. Now if the fluid does not move faster in a narrow section, then it will be the compressed to fit into the narrow space. Now consider a tube flow shown in the figure. Now the flow must pass through any cross section that cuts the tube of flow. Now we know that all the fluid is confined to tube of flow. Now consider A1 and A2 located at the A and B. You can see in the figure. Now matter is neither created nor be destroyed within the tube enclosed between the A1 and A2. Therefore the mass of the fluid within this region is constant over time. That means if the mass m of the fluid enters the section A1 equal to the mass leave at the section A2. Thus let the speed of the fluid which crosses the section EFGH. You can see, student, in the diagram, the fluid is passing the section EFGH at point A in time interval delta t and the velocity be v1. Thus the velocity of fluid entering the tube through the cross section area at point A is rho A1 into V1 into delta T. Similarly, let the speed of the fluid be V2 at the point B. The fluid cross section area PQRS of area A2 in the time interval delta T. Thus the mass of the fluid leaving the tube through the cross section area B is rho A2 V2 into delta T. So as the fluid is incompressible, the mass of the fluid entering the tube at point A is the same as the mass leaving the point B. So thus the mass of the fluid in section E, F, G, H will be equal to the mass of the fluid in section P, Q, R, S. So in this way we can say that the rho into A1 into V1 into delta T is equal to rho into A2 V2 into delta T. So this is the equation that we can say from this entire considerations. Now the A1 V1 will be equal to A2 V2, or the AV is equal to constant. So this is the... Now students, for your better understanding, we are going to revise this one. Now this is the steady flow fluid. There is one pipe. At the one end is narrow cross section area, and at the other end it is the wide cross section area, as you can see. So section QR is at the narrow cross section area and the EH is at the wider cross section area. So with the help of this entire consideration, we can say that a fluid is compressible. The mass of the fluid entering the tube at point A will be same as the mass leaving the tube at point B. So thus we can say that mass of the fluid in section EFGH is equal to mass of the fluid in section PQRS. So we can say rho into A1 into V1 delta T is equal to rho into A2 into V2 delta T. So as the A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2, then the AV will be the constant. So this is nothing but we have derived the equation of the continuity. The students, now we can say that AV is the volume, the rate flow of the fluid. Means AV is the volume rate flow of the fluid. So the AV is equal to dV upon dt. So the change in velocity with respect to the time. Now the quantity dV upon dt is the volume of the fluid per unit time passing through the any cross section of the tube of flow, and it is called the volume flux. Similarly, the rho into delta dV by dt is equal to dm by dt is called as the mass flux. So student, from this we can say the equation that we have seen. Which equation you can say? The equation A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2, or the AV is equal to constant, is the equation which is called as the equation of continuity in the fluid dynamics. Now the continuity equation says that the volume rate of flow of an incompressible fluid for a steady flow is the same throughout the flow. Means this is, we can say, this is we can conclude from the equation A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. What does it say? We will repeat once again. The equation A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2, or the AV is equal to constant. This equation is nothing but the equation of continuity in fluid dynamics, and the continuity equation says that the volume rate, listen student carefully, the volume rate of the flow of incompressible fluid for steady flow is the same throughout the flow. This is what the equation of continuity says. Now student, till now we have discussed the entire time. We are going to repeat it again. We have considered a pipe having the narrow cross section and the wider cross section, and we have just indicated with the few sections like a QR, PS, EG and EH at the narrow and the wider cross section respectively. Then we have given its area A1 A2 and the velocities and the time impact delta T. So thus from that we have derived the equation of the continuity, and thus after that we have given the AV is the volume rate of the fluid. So the AV is equal to dV by dt, and this is what the equation we have derived. And this continuity equation says that the volume rate of the flow of an incompressible fluid for the steady flow is the same throughout the flow. Now student, this is what we have learned in this lecture. So the next part we will learn in the next video. Thank you so much.